You know that soft airport carpet you walk across before security? It's not there for comfort. It's there to mess with your brain. That plush feeling under your shoes is step one in a carefully designed system meant to steer your movements, slow you down, and quietly shape how you behave in the terminal. Because airports aren't just places you pass through. They're engineered environments. Every sign, every cent, every free amenity is part of a bigger strategy to influence what you do, what you buy, and how much money you're willing to spend. And once you know how it works, you start noticing things you were never supposed to see. Let's take a walk through it, starting with the trick that begins the moment your foot hits the carpet. You're moving through the airport at a decent pace. Then, like clockwork, you hit the TSA zone, and everything just shifts. Your steps feel more cautious, your body language changes, and even the air feels calmer. Weird, right? That's not a coincidence. It's by design. Most airports use something called cognitive friction. Right before the security checkpoint, the flooring often changes from hard tile to soft carpet. This subtle switch cues your brain to slow down. You might not notice it, but your nervous system does. Your posture shifts, your footsteps get quieter, and you become just a little more submissive, which is exactly what airport security wants. Sure, it feels like a security measure, but it's also a sales tactic. A study by DKMA found that travelers walking on carpet are nearly twice as likely to stop and browse shops. They linger longer, spend more, about 7% more in regular retail zones and 10% more in duty-free. There's a reason the softest, quietest corners of the terminal are lined with luxury watches and $6 candy bars. So the next time you're gliding down a plush hallway toward TSA, don't assume you're just headed for a pat-down. You're being guided, gently, cleverly, towards spending more. And the strategy doesn't end with the carpet. Ever had your gate changed at the last minute? Thought it was just a scheduling fluke? It's not always about aircraft logistics. Sometimes it's about giving you a longer walk past more shops. Your flight was at gate B2. Now it's moved to C28, and in a flash, you're on a mini pilgrimage across the terminal. You think it's bad luck, but for the airport, it's strategy. Gate changes, especially last-minute ones, aren't always due to weather or maintenance. Sometimes, they're part of a behavioral design trick. By rerouting you across the terminal, airports increase what's called dwell time, the amount of time you spend in front of stores, restaurants, and impulse buy kiosks. And the longer you walk, the more you spend. Maybe you spot a pretzel stand. Maybe you grab a coffee, just in case. And in some cases, passengers have reported switching gates 3 times before departure, all within the same terminal. Whatever the excuse, you've likely made a purchase you wouldn't have made if your gate stayed put. Next time your gate changes from A3 to Z9, keep in mind, it's not always about the plane. It might be about your wallet. And while the airport nudges your feet toward more spending, the airline has another trick up its sleeve. It doesn't involve movement. It's all about status. It looks like a system to keep things organized. But boarding groups, they're a psychological power play. The moment you see Group 7 on your boarding pass, something shifts. You glance at Group 2 waltzing ahead and feel it, that quiet sting of hierarchy. Even if you're all flying economy, the airline has created invisible status tiers. And that's the point. Boarding groups aren't merely about managing crowds, they're designed to trigger social comparison. The lower your group, the more you want to move up, and airlines know it. That's why you'll see those tempting upsell offers. Upgrade for early boarding, reserve your seat now, or get Group 2 access with our credit card. Being in Group 7 feels like showing up to prom in flip-flops, while Group 2 struts in wearing tuxedos. You're not buying just a seat, you're buying a sliver of dignity. And maybe a chance to avoid being the one panic-shoving your bag into the last overhead bin while 30 strangers silently judge your every move. So yes, boarding order feels random, but it's not. It's a subtle nudge to spend more, just to feel a little more human at 30,000 feet. You're sitting at the gate, half bored, half scanning the boarding area like everyone else. Then, buzz. A notification pops up from the airline app. Upgrade to premium boarding for just $29. You weren't even thinking about upgrades 5 seconds ago. Now, for some reason, it feels tempting. You see the offer, think, nah, but then 2 minutes later, you're clicking it anyway. It's not logic, it's timing. That moment, it's planned down to the second. Airline apps are designed to hit you at just the right moment. When your willpower is low, your patience is wearing thin, and you're already stuck waiting with nothing else to do. You're tired, maybe a little anxious, and they know it. That's when a small splurge, extra legroom, early boarding, lounge access, starts to feel like self-care. And it's more than what they offer. It's how they say it. Enjoy priority boarding. Treat yourself. Unlock peace of mind. It's all engineered to feel like a reward, not a sale. But behind the soft tone is a calculated push to get you spending more before you've even stepped on the plane. So the next time your phone pings at the airport, ask yourself, did you want it? Or did they just know exactly when to ask? You're finally at the gate. You pull out your phone, open your browser, and boom, there it is, free airport Wi-Fi. Click here to connect. Feels like a win, right? Until you hit that wall of fine print. Because to get that sweet, sweet internet access, you're often asked to hand over more than just your email. Some networks want your name, phone number, flight info, even your browsing habits. And once you click accept, you've basically signed away the right to ask questions later. Why do they want it? Simple. Data is money. Airports sell this info to advertisers who use it to target you with everything from travel insurance to duty-free deals, sometimes while you're still scrolling at gate D14. You Google Rome hotels once, and suddenly you're getting lounge ads in Italian before you even board. It's never simply about Wi-Fi. It's a quiet little trade, your attention for their marketing reach. That's not to say you shouldn't ever connect. Just know what you're logging into. If you can, use a VPN. Or better yet, set your phone to hotspot mode and skip the whole data for access game altogether. Because when something is labeled free in an airport, it almost never is. Airport food courts are a trap. You're hungry, your flight's in an hour, and before you know it, a pre-made wrap and a bottle of water cost more than your Uber to the airport. But here's a twist most travelers don't expect. Sometimes you're better off eating on the plane. I once paid $17 for a tuna sandwich that tasted like sadness and regret. Never again. If you've got a co-branded credit card from the airline you're flying with, you might already be getting 20 to 25% off in-flight purchases. Take American Airlines, for example. That cheese and fruit plate that normally goes for $8.99. Pay with their card, and it drops to $6.74. That's cheaper than just about anything near your gate, and surprisingly fair, especially when a yogurt parfait in the terminal can cost $11 and doesn't even come with a spoon. And while price matters, what really makes a difference is consistency. Airport food is a gamble. Long lines, steep prices, and heat-lamped sandwiches that may or may not resemble real food. On board, at least you know the menu. It doesn't change much, which means once you figure out what's decent, you can stick to it and skip the rest. One more perk? You don't have to carry it. No greasy bags, no juggling food and boarding passes. Just sit back, order from your seat, and let the crew bring it to you. The next time a $14 slice of airport pizza gives you pause, remember, your best meal deal might be cruising down the aisle at 30,000 feet. Once you're past security, the airport knows you're stuck. You're tired, hungry, maybe a little stressed, and there's nowhere else to go. That's exactly why everything from a sandwich to a granola bar feels outrageously priced. It's not about quality, it's about the lack of options. So if you can, pack your own snacks. And if not, that in-flight snack cart might actually be the better deal. You've made it past security. You've paid too much for a sandwich. And now, somehow, your favorite lighter or multi-tool has vanished. No explanation, no goodbye. Or maybe your checked bag never showed up at baggage claim. You figure it's lost for good, right? Not exactly. What most passengers don't realize is that your lost or confiscated items often have a second life, and it's not in a dusty back room. Let's start with confiscated gear. After holding on to prohibited items for about 30 days, TSA doesn't just toss them. They box them up. Pocket knives, tools, electronics, you name it. and sell them off through government auctions or surplus programs, where anyone can bid on your forgotten gear for pennies on the dollar. And when it comes to truly lost luggage, if your checked bag disappears and isn't claimed within a few weeks, airlines sell it sight unseen to bulk buyers who sort through the contents and resell everything, from designer jeans to old laptops, often through places like the Unclaimed Baggage Center in Alabama. Should one of your items mysteriously vanish, here's a thought. It might already be sitting on a thrift store shelf in Alabama. Up next, even if your bag survives intact, there's still one more trap waiting, especially if you're low on cash and spot a convenient ATM near your gate. You're heading to your gate, realize you need some cash, and conveniently, there's an ATM right next to the Starbucks. Swipe, tap, done. But what you might not notice is that single transaction just cost you more than your overpriced cappuccino. Airport ATMs are notorious for charging sky-high fees. We're talking withdrawal fees, foreign transaction fees, dynamic currency conversion traps, all stacked together in a tidy little money vacuum. In some cases, you can lose 10% of your withdrawal on fees alone. Use a foreign debit card? It gets worse. That $100 withdrawal might quietly turn into $112 on your bank statement. Ever checked your statement and felt robbed? You probably were, by an airport ATM. What most people never suspect is that many airport ATMs aren't even owned by banks. They're run by private companies whose business model depends on travelers being in a rush, unfamiliar with the area, or just too exhausted to double-check what they're agreeing to. That "accept this conversion rate" prompt? Yeah, that's where they get you. Always say no to dynamic currency conversion. It's almost always worse than what your own bank would give you. Simple rule: if the ATM says conversion rate, hit no and run. So what's the smarter move? Withdraw cash before you get to the airport. Or better yet, use a travel-friendly credit card with no foreign transaction fees and pay digitally whenever you can. You'll get a better rate, avoid the stress, and save enough to actually enjoy that airport snack. Because the airport ATM isn't here to help, it's here to profit from your poor timing. You've seen them, those quiet glass door sanctuaries with plush chairs, soft lighting, and espresso machines that seem way too fancy for an airport. You might have thought, must be nice to fly first class. But here's the secret: you don't have to. Many airport lounges now offer day passes for $30 to $60, and some credit cards, even ones without annual fees, can get you in for free. It all depends on what you're flying, what you're carrying, and whether you know where to look. Instead of sitting shoulder to shoulder at the gate with a $5 coffee and one shared outlet, you could be in a lounge, legs up, cappuccino in hand, phone charging peacefully beside you. Especially on long layovers, lounges make all the difference. No noise, no seat fights, just quiet, snacks, Wi-Fi, and the weird satisfaction of peeling an orange on a leather sofa like you're somebody important. So before your next flight, check your airline's app, or try Lounge Buddy. Because the next time you're stuck at the airport for 3 hours, you might already have access to a better way to wait. Lounge Buddy might be your new favorite app. Still, making it to the gate doesn't guarantee you're getting on the plane. You arrive at the gate. It's packed. The overhead bins are already full, and somehow, you don't have a seat. Welcome to the airline's favorite gamble, overbooking. Airlines sell more tickets than seats. Why? Because they know someone won't show. Based on years of data and algorithms, they predict no-shows with shocking accuracy. But sometimes, just sometimes, everyone actually shows up. And that's when things get awkward. Suddenly, a gate agent picks up the mic. "We're looking for volunteers to take a later flight." It might sound like a polite request, but if no one volunteers, the airline will start bumping passengers off the flight. And no, you don't get a say. Believe it or not, this is all above board. The Department of Transportation allows it. It's all in the fine print when you book. The trick is knowing how to turn it to your advantage. If you're flexible, this might be your chance to score big. Don't just take the first offer. Wait until the stakes go up. Airlines often start at a $200 voucher, but if no one bites, that number climbs. We've seen payouts hit $1,000 plus hotel stays, meal vouchers, and upgrades on the next flight. But if you're not flexible, protect yourself. Always check in early, get to the gate on time, and if possible, select your seat in advance, even if you have to pay a little extra. Those without seat assignments are often the first to get bumped. And one pro move, if you're bumped against your will, you're entitled to cash, not just a voucher. Airlines often forget to mention this, but under DOT rules, involuntary bumping compensation can be up to 400% of your one-way fare, capped at $1,550. Overbooking really is a game, one you can win or get burned by. Just make sure you're not the one getting played. But while some flights are packed to the last seat and still turn people away, others take off with cabins that are nearly empty. And that's no accident either. You board a flight and look around. Row after row of empty seats. No crowd, no armrest battles, not even a crying baby. It feels like you hit the travel jackpot. But this isn't luck. It's strategy. You're on what's known as a ghost flight. And no, it's not a glitch. Airlines do this on purpose. Here's why. Major airports assign takeoff and landing slots to airlines, but with a catch. Use it or lose it. If they don't fly a certain percentage of scheduled flights, they risk forfeiting those valuable slots to competitors. That's why, even when demand is low or a route isn't selling, they'll still operate the flight, even if it's nearly empty. And here's the wild part. Airlines generally only break even when a flight is at least 75% full. Every ghost flight they run? It's a financial hit they're willing to take just to protect their airport privileges. Lufthansa once admitted to operating over 21,000 of these near-empty flights in a single winter season. If you ever feel like you're the only one on board, chances are you kind of are. But that flight? It wasn't about you. It was about gates, runways, and long-term market control. The next time you land to an oddly quiet cabin, remember, those empty seats weren't a mistake. They were part of the business plan. And yes, airlines will fly a plane with 10 passengers to hold onto a gate. But that early landing they love to announce? That's a whole different kind of trick. You hear it over the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we've landed early. Nice, right? A rare win in air travel? Well, not exactly, because what just happened might have been a clever scheduling trick. See, airlines often pad their schedules, intentionally adding extra time to flights on paper. Why? That way, even if there's a delay, they can still claim to be on time or even early. It's good for their stats, good for customer satisfaction, and most people never question it. Which means the next time you arrive 10 minutes ahead of schedule, maybe hold the celebration. You didn't beat the odds. You just landed in a game with rigged numbers. So now you know. The carpet was never just about comfort. That free Wi-Fi? Not so free. And that friendly crew? They might already know more about you than you'd guess. Behind every smooth terminal and cheerful boarding call is a system built to manage, guide, and sometimes quietly manipulate your every move, from what you touch to what you buy. If any of this made you go, wait, what? Good. That means it's working. Drop your favorite airport hack or your worst travel surprise in the comments. I read them all, seriously. And if you want more truth bombs before your next boarding call, you know what to do. Thanks for watching. And next time you're walking across that soft airport carpet, just remember, you're not strolling. They're steering you.